What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of the Moon Boy Podcast. I'm sitting here with Donovan Jolly over at DIY Investing.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking all about the crypto markets and really going over a little bit about our move to California, some updates on our lives, and talking about, just our experience with being here in California. Super cool, super fun stuff been happening for us. Today we actually went over to IKEA and the line was an hour and 30-minute wait because of the fact that they can't let everybody come into the store all at once because everybody's still kind of scared because of the pandemic situation. But before we really get into the conversation here, make sure that you're a subscriber to Donovan's channel, as well as subscribing to my channel and sharing this video with your friends. This is available on all major podcasting platforms, so you can listen to it whether you're at work, you can listen to it, sweeping the floor. It really doesn't matter. Just do your thing, listen to the podcast, enjoy it, and share with your friends. So Donovan, one of the things that was really interesting to me is just how many people are still kind of stuck in this fear paradigm. And it's crazy that there's an hour and 30-minute wait at IKEA. We were just going to go get ourselves some desks and chairs for the podcast, but we decided to go audio only today since the wait was an hour and 30 minutes. So isn't it kind of crazy how everybody's still stuck in this paradigm of fear? And it's been months since all of this transpired.
Yeah, it's really weird because we're kind of in this state of fear while simultaneously half the world is also in a state of frustration over everybody else's fear. It's kind of like two sides are kind of fighting against each other right now, and I think that that's what's causing just so much confusion in general. It's not only just fear, but it's just a lot of uncertainty, and it's a lot of, projections of other people's belief systems onto other people, which frustrates some because they feel as if their rights are being impeded upon, and that's kind of the way I look at all of this. It doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense to me personally, but at the same time, it's just so much crap's going on so many different levels. It's not only the pandemic, it's not only racism, it's not only the financial system falling apart. This is just a global event that's taking place, and so, to see how everything's slowed down, to see kind of all this disbelief between everybody, it definitely sucks, but out of all of this, there will rise and become some sort of order. And I think that that's the only thing that we can really look out for, because, right now it's not orderly in the slightest. There's a lot of things that don't really make sense for my personal opinion, a lot of things that I think we could be doing better, while simultaneously I feel like people right now are, instead of choosing within and deciding to focus on the things that matter, a lot of people are taking the opposite approach and are focusing on everything outside of their lives that they can't change. And with how we're seeing the entire world, not only from economic standpoint, not only from political, social setting, just the average people in general, all of these things are kind of just in a big mess. And these times more than ever, it's important to just focus on yourself. Don't listen to all the things that are on the media. Don't listen so much on all the things that we can't change, because at the end of the day, the only thing that we can change is how we feel within, and that's the only way that we're going to be able to make a difference inside the world is, be the change that you want to see. So what do you think is going to, pros and cons of everything that's going on, what do you think flourishes and flowers 6 months down the line from all of this? Or I should say, when things go back to semi-normal for the most part, how long do you think after that are we going to see an immediate difference and changes in the way that we perceive things?
I think that what's happening right now is we're crystallizing the digital society, and it's coming through with this. The virus really actually set the fuel on fire. It's basically like there's just this big gasoline tank sitting there ready for the digital age to unleash. And the first gasoline tank, there's like a few of them. The first gasoline tank a match was thrown into it when the internet was born. And that really just set that tank on fire. And we've been just watching it burn since the 90s. And we've been watching this flame get bigger and bigger of the digital age. The second gasoline tank was like blockchain technology. And that really set this on fire for the digital age. And what's actually interesting is this virus, a lot of people are looking at this as like a negative thing, but in my view, this is actually the most positive thing that could have ever happened for us right now, because of the fact that we're setting the fuel on fire. And this is really ushering in, like we've talked about in the previous podcasts, a digital age. And I've noticed so many people are starting online businesses. So many people are figuring out new ways to make money. And it really just comes from, it's a phoenix rising from the ashes. And so if you're talking about 6 months down the road, well, I think we're going to be living in a lot more of a digital world. I mean, we went to go to IKEA today to get some stuff for the podcast. In an hour and 30-minute wait. So we just turned around and just went and did some other stuff. Went on a little hike, went and climbed a tree for a little while in California. It was beautiful, so peaceful. And the roads are like traffic free right now. And it just goes to show, Amazon has been pumping in value right now because everybody's online shopping. And if people think that trend is going to get less, they're dead wrong. If anything, the world is going to become more and more digital. We're going to become a lot more of a digital society. We also went to go clothing shopping afterwards, and we went into a shoe store, and all the clothing was gone, and most of the clothing stores were shut down, and everything was barricaded and closed off. And so really right now is the time to be taking advantage of this and seeing all of this as an opportunity to flourish and create a better world, a more digital world, and a world that's more connected. And we can actually do a lot of things as a collective species together out in the open and as a public, in public areas. And I think we'll see more of that once the fear finishes blowing over. But as far as like the digital stuff, I think it's a beautiful thing that we're actually moving towards this digital age and digital shopping, cryptocurrency, digital money, everything becoming digital, because it actually makes the world a lot more accessible. It takes 30 to 40 minutes to drive to IKEA. We drove to IKEA, and then guess what? An hour and 30-minute wait in line. Like, that's not accessible. That's not reasonable. Mm-hmm. But a digital society, you just click a button on your computer, and we already did. We got our studio phone coming. We got office equipment coming. We have desks coming. We have desk chairs coming. So as far as like the podcast goes and stuff like that, we're going to have everything set up in a very beautiful way for you guys. And it's just cool, in my view, it's cool to see that happening, and I really think that there's a lot of silver linings to all of this, a lot of positive aspects to be looking at, and that's what I'm tuning into, is the positive aspects. Yes, there's people that are scared. Yes, there's barricaded doors. Yes, a lot of the stores are closed, but like you said, order comes from chaos, so the result of this is going to be a very positive thing, a better world, a more crystallized digital society.
Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the way everything was moving to regardless. And so now that we're, this was just, like you said, kind of adding fuel to the fire that was already being created. In my opinion, kind of the 90s. Well, technically the 80s, early 80s.
Internet?
Yeah, well, computers. The early 80s, before really we had the internet or anything, we had the kind of like the tinder towards a fire. We had the first technologies come up. We had computers where we finally had some sort of technology and we were advancing in ways. And then the 90s roll around and get towards the late 90s, and then the internet's around, and so that's when the fire kind of started. And through the 2000s to get to the 20-teens, like 2010 to 2020, then you start seeing a big advancement. Blockchain technology comes in 2008, and from there, we're the year 2020, and we're seeing a whole multitude of different technologies, different ideas, projects spawning from this. And so
AI, 3D printing,
all of those things, it's really groundbreaking. I just barely watched a video yesterday of, it took 3 days to 3D print an entire boat, and it was a pretty decent sized boat, at least 20 feet long, 20 feet by probably 10 feet wide. It was a pretty big boat. And we can now do this type of stuff in 3 days, and that was coming from the world's biggest 3D printer. But the second that we're unleashing all of these on a mass scale, we won't need factory workers anymore. Tesla's kind of already at that point where a majority of their entire production line is machine automated. And through this, it's going to not only be in the industrial fields, it's going to be on virtually every front. Humans are going to have more time to focus on the things that matter. We're going to have more wealth in the world because of the fact through these technologies, we're going to be able to prevent certain corruption. Like right now, we have a big issue with knowing what politicians are doing with funds and trusting that the people that we put in power are going to actually do the things that are beneficial for the people. And up to this point, history has proven that that's a bunch of false narratives and nobody really likes to do what they say. And most of the time it ends up being corrupted, even if the system starts strong. And so I kind of think that through public distributed ledgers that are decentralized, that you can't change or manipulate the contents, we're going to have a way to get over so many of these different issues. And to be quite honest, I think that a lot of the issues that we have right now between racism, between poverty, between different sorts of inequality, I think that the biggest majority that these things are actually issues is because the people that are in charge aren't necessarily handling the finances, they aren't distributing the wealth properly, and we don't have a system that's really designed to benefit people. And I think that through crypto, through blockchain technology, through these other means, we're going to now have a way to start preventing this corruption, preventing, irrational decision making from these leaders that we're supposed to trust. And we can get away from these, trust entirely. It'll be a trustless system, and we won't have to worry about these issues as much. And I honestly think that the racism, that the poverty, that all of this inequality that exists will actually start to deteriorate and just kind of melt away. And it seems kind of counterintuitive. Right now, the big issue is people think that we have to focus more on the issue. But the thing is, that's just creating more of a spotlight on the problem. And it's not really solving anything. It's causing people to riot. It's causing, like I said, irrational decision making. And so I believe that through blockchain and through just advancements that we make, artificial intelligence and whatever else may transpire through technology, these issues won't be a thing anymore. And so I think that the biggest thing right now is to focus more on the long term, focus more on what we can change right now, developing the technologies, developing the infrastructure that's going to create trustless systems so that we can, bring in a new era, a new era of thinking, a new era of living, and a new era of prosperity in turn.
So it's kind of like what I like to think about sometimes is if I'm running around the track and I'm running, and then my side starts hurting because like the pain of exerting physical energy. If I focus on the fact that my side hurts, I'll probably give up. In 30 seconds, I'll start slowing down. I'll be like, okay, wow, this pain, it's there, it hurts. And then I'm focusing on this point of pain. And so I give power to it. I'm literally giving power to that pain. And then it controls me. But if I'm running around the track and then my side starts hurting and I focus on each step by step, there actually gets a point where the pain no longer exists. And in fact, that pain gets converted into euphoria and I get a runner's high. And that's kind of the same thing that when I think about riots, when I think about social distancing, when I think about pandemics, when I think about corrupt politicians, when I think about all of those things, I actually have learned to stop thinking about them. Not to force myself to stop, but just to think about how good everything is right now in the world and what's coming because of these changes that are happening. And when you reorientate your focus on each step, in a sense, just like if I'm running, you focus on each step forward that we can make as a collective, that I can personally make as a person today, and create empowering belief systems within myself instead of disempowering belief systems. Those empowering belief systems carry over into my daily actions, and my outer world starts reflecting that. And I think that's what's really important right now is, yeah, we can bring up the fact that it took an hour and 30 minutes at IKEA to get our stuff, or we can talk about the fact which we did, about how we just went ahead and ordered a bunch of new stuff for our offices on the internet that will be here soon, and it's just coming straight to our door, and how beautiful that is, that we can just click a button on our computer and then bam, a package comes. And by the way, the packages out here in LA come way faster than in Utah. You order something and it says 3-day shipping, you go outside on your deck the next morning and like it's there. Even though it said 3-day shipping, it's just magically on your deck. And so that's really, really cool that we live in a world where you can just instantly get something to your door from a click of a button on your computer. And that, I think, is the most beautiful thing, and something I'm working on every single day. And sometimes I slip up. There's days where, you know, I do focus on all of the negative things, or there's days where I do focus on the pain in my side when I'm running around the track. But overall, I continue to maintain a solid direction and a solid growth towards, and I am the type of person that focuses on the positive aspects of what's going on. And that seems, for me, it seems to expand in my life and reflect in others as well.
A lot of people make the argument that, you know, you're just running from the issues that are going on in the world by doing that. And, you know, at the end of the day, your perception on life can completely transform your world. And I've learned that from dealing with my own mental health struggles, was the fact that I remember when I was at really, really low states inside of my life, where I was depressed, where I was really anxious. And there was times where I walked past a mirror and I couldn't even face myself because I just was disgusted with the person that I saw looking back at me. And so I would avoid looking at the mirror, and I was just super insecure about every single thing about me. I couldn't, if I looked at myself, I was just judging. And what happens is, you know, even though I'm not an ugly person, even though I don't have, you know, I'm normal looking as far as society would deem, your mind can transform your reality to where you literally look like a disgusting human being. And the same thing is people that are overweight. What you'll oftentimes find is people will become really overweight and then they'll start losing all their weight. And then, you know, they might get really slim and skinny, but in the mirror looking back at them is still a fat person. And they're never able to fully move past it because everything is internal at the end of the day. And kind of what I see in the world right now is people are focused so much on racism. They're focused so much on corrupt people that are doing this and this wrong to them, and, you know, all of these different things. And when in actuality, the more that we spotlight the problem, the more that we focus on that, the more you're going to see that in your outward reality. And that's the same thing for me that was depressed and insecure about myself. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I only saw negative things. I didn't like this thing about me. I didn't like that. I felt too ugly in this way. And the same thing can be said, you know, for people that are focusing too much on this stuff. For me, I've just started blocking people that post a lot of the crap that we were seeing on the news, a lot of the stuff that's just going on, because it's creating disharmony in the world. And at the end of the day, the best thing that I can do for not only myself but the people around me is to focus on the things that genuinely bring me satisfaction and purpose. Because if I'm living in my own, if I'm living in a sense of purpose and I know what direction I'm headed in life, all of these external things don't affect me. And in turn, I'm a better person to my friends. I'm a better person to people that I meet. I can have deeper conversations. I make better YouTube videos because my mind's not occupied by all of these external things that I can't change. And so for me, to touch back on the whole point of that was, you know, for me, I've just been blocking people that have been posting a lot of stuff about this. I've been ignoring it. I haven't been looking at social media as much. We don't even have a TV here, and I don't plan on getting one because I just don't care about watching any of that stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm happy. And, you know, all this Corona stuff and all the stuff that's going on, I've become a happier, better person because of it. Well, the entire world, or what we're made to believe, everybody's kind of falling apart and going into shambles. There's two different types of people. They're the people that are, you know, using this as an amazing opportunity to better themselves and, you know, work on the things that they love and prosper. And then there's the people that are focusing so much on what the media feeds them, or, you know, all of these negative things. And in turn, they're becoming lesser of their true selves. And I think that that's the most important thing right now, is to focus on what you love, focus on, you know, removing these obstacles, put the spotlight on the things that are beautiful within your life and within the life of the entire world. And from there, your entire outward experience is going to change dramatically.
Like, don't attack what you hate, promote what you love.
Exactly. And that's the issue. We're focusing on all the hate, we're focusing on all the wrong, and that's the issue with mainstream media and why I just don't watch any news. It doesn't matter which one it is, they're all doing the same thing. The big headlines sell if it's fearful, if it's something that will make people click on it. This man killed 3 people in a subway. Or, this person stole this amount of money doing this. Or, this politician lied about this. None of that even matters, and none of that's important by any means. When in actuality, if we put the spotlight on something more beautiful, like, for example, yesterday, me and my friend were walking to the beach, and as we were getting to the crosswalk, we were waiting to go across, and the guy that was in the lane to turn, his car broke down. He was in the middle of the turning lane, there was cars backed up behind him. You could physically see how stressed out it made him, and you could see his wife next to him just panicking too. And so all you're seeing is these people behind him honking at him, and he's trying to tell them to wave and go past, and people are honking and honking and honking. And so me and my friend, we just ran across in the middle of the street and pushed him across the way. And these are the types of things that we put the focus on. If we focus more on those types of things, focus more on what you can do to help others, or even mainstream news, changing and making alternatives to where we put the focus on people that are doing beneficial things, the outward experience is going to change. And that's the issue right now, is the fact that there actually isn't any issues. It's just, what are we putting the spotlight on? That's what is going to create our outward expression. And for now, we're putting the spotlight on the things that aren't benefiting us. And so I believe that the next couple of years we're going to find a way to do that. But what do you think is something that we could do right now, as not only a collective, but as individuals, that is going to promote a much better place of peace, love, and
prosperity?
Yes, exactly. How do we?
Well, I think having conversations like this is a big start, and I encourage everybody that's watching this right now, create a podcast, create a YouTube channel, get with your friends, surround yourself with people that you love. And everybody in this world has something that they can do right now that helps another person. And it's not like you have to be the person that creates this big giant thing that helps everybody. That is good, and you should go for it if you have an idea that is that thing that, okay, this idea could help all these people really easily. You should go for that. But also it's the little things too, cleaning your room. Maybe you live with your mom or something. Like, I lived with my mom different times throughout my life. Even as I got older, there were certain situations that happened where I lived with my family again. And when you're in those situations, like, go clean the dishes. Like, just do little things. Tell somebody that you love them. Tell somebody that their hat is cool. Tell somebody that they have a nice shirt. Compliment people. Do little things, and that will just create a snowball effect across humanity that will make a more beautiful thing. And so when we do those things, you empower yourself, you empower others, and that snowball effect is impossible to stop. And once one person starts doing that, like I said, it's a snowball effect. And so all it takes is one person to do that. And that one person goes and compliments somebody. Guess what? 3 other people are going to get complimented that day because of that person. Yep. And then 3 other people because of those 3 people, and then 9 people, and then 20 people, and then 30 people, and then 100 people. And then pretty soon the world is healed. And you also have to be a realist in the sense that we do need to realize that the world is a very sick place right now. Like, that's true. It's better than it's ever has been, but there are so many people that are traumatized, that are scared, that don't know what to do, that don't have money, that don't know how they're going to feed themselves, that don't have money to get diapers for their kids. That's all real. People are actually dying from this virus too. That is all a real thing that's really going on. But at the same time, though, you can see that, and then you can feel disempowered because of what's going on, Or you can see that and you can feel empowered because of what's going on. And you can say positive things to other people. You can affirm yourself. You can affirm your friends. You can, like I said, clean the dishes. You can spend quality time with the people that you love and care about. And affirmations are so powerful. Listening to affirmations before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, telling people around you that you love them. If somebody says something you don't like, it's so easy to be like, hey, why did you just say that? And then point that out in that person and then attack them for something. Instead, just don't say anything at all. Just sit there and wait. Let go of the need to point out what the other person is doing wrong. And wait for the right moment to say something positive to them instead. Always affirm other people. Criticism, pointing out what people are doing wrong, telling them that they're stupid, all of those things are useless. You're affirming that in that person, you're expanding, you're focusing on it, and then that will grow within them. It will only create more of what you're looking at. But instead, if you just patiently let that thing pass, breathe, focus on your own inner work, and then affirm that person genuinely. Don't just say something just like fake. Don't just be like, oh, and just say something fake just because you want to say something to affirm them. See something that you genuinely appreciate about that person and say it. And that's powerful. And that will stick. And that will create a snowball effect that's genuine and real. And so when people, sometimes I hear, okay, well, I want a positive world. And it's easy to want a positive world, but then sometimes people are like, well, yeah, you can't be optimistic all the time. What are you saying? Why are you trying to be optimistic all the time? Don't you know the reality of the situation? Yes, I do know the reality of the situation. The only time being positive is negative is when it's not genuine.
Yeah, exactly. And, something that pops up in my head, and I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but it's a Bible verse, and it says, "Forgive, for they know not what they do." And that's really important because it's kind of, to forgive somebody else is to forgive yourself, because at the end of the day, we're seeing all this racism, we're seeing all this stuff right now. When you're forgiving of somebody else that might call you names, when you're forgiving of, the negative things that may be brought upon you that you can't change, because that sometimes happens. By forgiving, you're taking an ownership of those emotions, and you're taking ownership for how you feel. And at the end of the day, with all the stuff that's going on, if you can learn to forgive, that puts you at a higher state, because if somebody says something negative or derogatory towards you, instead of projecting that back and saying something negative back at them, you just forgive them, and you affirm this forgiveness by saying something positive back, because at the end of the day, we can't control what others may do or what others may think, but you can control what you do and what you think. And so if you genuinely want to see the world change, you have to be the change that you want to see. And right now, I think that America, not just America, but on a global scale, we're kind of waking up to this. And to be quite honest, I think that America was kind of one of the last ones to wake up from this, because oftentimes Americans don't actually, think about what goes on outside and what goes on, on a global scale. And because of this, it's easy for us to forget. It's easy for us to just kind of follow the same course of trend as what everybody else is doing. But now more than ever, it's important that we're focusing in on the things that are important. We're focusing on being the change that we want to see in the world, because that's the only way that we're going to actually get all of that change. And I genuinely believe that everything that we're seeing right now is getting us on the right path, even though there is a lot of division, even though there is a lot of uncertainty. The most important part of all of this is just to focus on, what will spawn from that and what is spawning right now. And I think that's the really exciting thing is, by me being out in a place where there's more diversity, when I talk to people, I don't get those same vibes like everybody's mad at each other. When you actually have conversations with people, it's not like that.
They're cool.
Yeah, exactly.
They're really cool out here, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of freaking cool people.
Exactly. And it's funny because, before we moved out here, all we ever heard from people around us was how terrible California is, how all the people are crazy, and how we're going to get killed from homeless people and all this. And then you come out here and even the homeless people are cool with you. Like there's not really a big issue. And so it's just these cascading belief systems that are passed down. And it's not only your family, it's not only your friends, it's not only governments, it's not only, TV and what is on television shows. It's just happening everywhere. And so, now more than ever, these belief systems are being pushed upon everybody. And that's why it's very, very important that you're not, sticking to that. You got to be the person of power that has his power from within. And it's not like any external thing that anybody says is going to affect you, because you already know your purpose. You already know who you are and what you're here to do. And because of that, you don't have to struggle so much with what's going on. And so if you're somebody right now that's finding yourself in this struggle, if you're finding yourself feeling weak, if you're finding yourself feeling angry at the world, now more than ever, it's time to reverse those belief systems, to focus in on the things that you love and change that outward reality, so we as a human species and a collective conscious can move forward into this next age, in this new age of prosperity and abundance, because at the end of the day, we have an overabundance of things to give every single person: food, water, and shelter. We just have, a lack of distribution.
Disharmony.
Yeah.
A disharmony that's making it so that even though we have everything we need to feed every single mouth on earth, to make it so that there's no homeless and all the resources, the disharmony, the state of consciousness of the planet won't allow for it. Mm-hmm. And so in order for us as a species to move past that, we have to raise our vibration. And we don't raise our vibration by focusing in on the things that are causing it in the first place. I think it was Einstein that said, in order to solve the problem, you can't think of the solution in the same mind frame that created it, or something along those lines. I don't know the exact quote. You guys could Google it for me and drop in the comments. But what he's really saying is a certain level of consciousness created a problem that we're seeing in the world today. That is real. It's a real thing. Like, in no way are we trying to brush it away or pretend it doesn't exist. It's a very real thing that we're seeing in the world. Mm-hmm. On the contrary, we're actually figuring out the solution by raising our vibration, by raising our state of consciousness to a higher one based in love, not greed, one based in harmony, not disharmony. And that change that we can create within ourselves will reflect in the outer world. And it might happen in my lifetime. We'll probably see a massive shift in our lifetimes, which I'm personally very thankful for, very excited that I was born in this time, in the time where we get to see this massive shift in human consciousness. And yes, it is growing pains. And yes, there are going to be things. We're going to see chaos. We're going to see these things happening because it's a natural result of the fact that everything is coming to the surface. You can't hide everything forever. It has to come up. The slivers have to be pulled. It will be painful as we pull them, but once they're pulled, we can heal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And this is just a big healing experience, more or less. And, it's nice to be at the forefront of all of this, because in our situation, we're not worried about racism. We're not worried about the economic status. We're not worried about all these things because, we're doing our part by protecting not only ourselves but our family and friends by figuring out ways to make money aside from the conventional 9-to-5, aside from relying on all of these other people. We're learning to branch out, because at the end of the day, we're a perfect example of how when you change your inner world, your outer world changes with you. And the more that you focus on yourself, the more you focus on being happy, the more you focus on having all of your needs met and taken care of, the easier it is to just completely change, the outside world around you. And that's the most important thing here, is the fact that, we struggled with a lot of different things. I struggled with my mental health. I struggled with drugs. I struggled with all these external things. But the second that I just chose to focus on my own happiness was the second that all of that changed. And, my drug issues, my depression and all of that, it melts away when you reprogram your subconscious mind. And when you choose to focus on feeling better, even if at the first time you're lying to yourself, which is what it felt like for me, by keeping doing that, like if normally when you would say something, you'd have a belief system like, oh, this is way too much money, I could never afford that, or only rich people can do this, or these type of belief systems. Once you can change that, or once you catch yourself saying that, you can change it and say it's a different story. You could say,
I am rich.
Yeah, exactly. I am rich. I deserve to buy this, or whatever it might be in your particular situation. When you rewrite your story, when you change that perspective, everything changes around you. And at the start, it's difficult because your brain is hardwired to thinking the same thought process. But when you change these things, it doesn't take that much initial effort. It's just the more or less awareness and to keep yourself on that same habit of, if you catch yourself doing something that was more negative, saying something negative about somebody, talking about, whatever it might be, once you learn to have the awareness to spot it every single time you do that and change the story, it doesn't take long before everything around you changes with it. So if you're somebody that sees racism, if you're somebody that sees greedy people stealing and, not distributing wealth in the way that they could, it's really easy to blame those people and get mad at them and hold resentment towards them. But at the end of the day, all you can really do is build a solution that prohibits that and stops all of that. Because the more that you put anger towards that person, the lower the vibration that's going to put you at, because then you're going to be residing in anger. And you're going to be frustrated with people. And for that, you're not going to be able to allow yourself to feel the things in which you should feel, happiness, and feel thankful for what you have. And so it's going to just keep you bound by these low-hanging vibrations. It'll be like a shackle and chains, to where it'll keep you from getting the ultimate abundance that you deserve. It'll keep you from, changing the life that you want. Maybe it's moving to an amazing place. Maybe it's meeting a new person, a significant other. You're going to prevent yourself from feeling that the more that you focus on all of these negative things. And that's exactly kind of what the world is programmed in a lot of ways, is to keep you comfortable, to keep you so that you never have to worry a whole lot, so that all of your needs are taken care of, that prevents you from actually taking the steps to grow, taking the steps to change yourself. And not only that, but inspiring other people, because that's the important thing here, is once you change yourself, it's kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy, where once you change your own state of consciousness, once you're focusing on the things that you love, whether it's you want to make a bunch of money, you're working out every day, you're doing meditation, yoga, you're eating healthy, all of those things, when you start to do those, the people around you follow suit. And if they don't follow suit, they just drop out of your life. And so by you focusing on the things that you love, you attract more people that are focusing on those same things. And then pretty soon you have a group of people doing that. And with a group of people sharing the same amazing thoughts, beliefs, and ideas, it's those group of people that are actually going to go out and create and build the alternatives that are actually going to fix the issues, which is why by focusing on the low vibrations, by focusing on all of the stuff that we're fed through media and all this other crap, you're never going to get to the point to make any change. Instead, you're just going to become the conglomerate of angry people choosing to play the victim.
So do you ever find yourself getting stuck on these things and then you have to kind of work through it?
All the time.
All the time still?
All the time. And obviously all the time for me isn't nearly as bad as what it was, because, there was a time where I was, suicidal and just was disgusted with myself. And so comparing that to where I'm at now, like, there's a big difference. But for me, I don't think that I shouldn't say there's never an end point, because it's really easy to have stuff get resurfaced from, different things. Maybe you were bullied a lot in school or something, and so you something triggers that within yourself. It's really easy that even if you're in this good state and you're a really nice person and you're working a lot for yourself, it's still easy to have those get triggered and brought back up. And so the difference is when those when you get triggered and when those get brought back up, what separates the person that's in a low vibration from the person that's in a high vibration is the high vibrational person doesn't attach to that. It might get resurfaced and you might have the thoughts and the feelings, but you choose to identify with that. And that's the most powerful thing, is you give it as much power as you want. And that's, you can give it all of the power over you to where, if something triggers you and something gets brought up and a trauma gets surfaced, and you can focus on how much that affected you when you were a kid and how angry you are about it and how much this person owes you for this. It's only going to drag you back down. And so that's why when you elevate yourself, when you do the things that make you happy, those negative things that would normally drag you down, where you get stuck, it's almost like a pothole in the road. That's no longer a pothole, and the bump is much easier to just navigate. Instead, where you normally hit the pothole and pop your tire, you just turn around it, and then it's just a little, nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
So is it a process of letting go? Like, it's easy to get snagged?
Definitely. Let go of everything. Let go of anything that doesn't serve you, more or less. And forgive. That's the most important thing, because if you're not willing to forgive and you're not willing to let go, even if somebody does something to you that you don't have any control over, that you deem negative, you choose to hold on to that. If somebody lies to you, do you forgive them, or do you hold resentment towards them forever? Because at the end of the day, that person's going to move on because they lied to you. It's whatever. They just made that short-term decision. But are you going to let that fester within yourself? Or are you going to hold on to that and always think and have these thoughts pop up? Oh, wow, remember that when that person did this to me? You got to be able to let go of all of that type of stuff. Otherwise, you're always going to be stuck and snagged. So what do you think is something, what was something that seemed to get you snagged a lot, that you struggled with? And how were you able to actually, transcend that? And how were you able to move past to where maybe something got brought up and normally it'd be your downfall and you'd get stuck on it and drop back down to a lower vibration? What was it that you were able to do that helped you to just navigate that and instead not be brought down every time something popped up, but instead to just move past it?
Well, oh man. There's a lot of things in my life that, it's a process, a learning process. Lots of different things that I've done. I can think of when I was younger, one thing that I used to do that I would kind of get snagged on myself with is I wanted to impress people. I wanted to be somebody that was looked at as charismatic and cool and that people liked, and I just had a genuine desire to be loved and appreciated by other people, to be popular, to be cool. And so something that I would do a lot was basically just make up stories that weren't true, or try to say things that I thought would be cool to other people because I wanted people to look at me as a cool person or appreciate me or think that I was hot shit, basically, and then I would just find myself just saying stuff that wasn't true. And then I would get snagged on my own self and hold on to that feeling and be like, why did I just do that, and beat myself up over it. And it really all it did was just reaffirm that belief within myself and kind of created a bigger problem. And the day that I decided that I didn't care what people thought, that it wasn't about trying to impress people, and that I could just let go of that and just be a genuine person for myself and do it for Dallin, not for anybody else. Not to try to impress anybody, nothing. Just do it for Dallin only. That's when I started the snowball, and it's a process. But that's when I started being more honest with myself, more honest with the people around me. I stopped making up stupid stories that weren't true to try to impress people. And that's where the real transformation happened. And it just started with letting go. It just started with letting go of the need to be right, letting go of the need to be impressed, to be impressive. And then all of a sudden I started noticing that genuinity that came out in me. People would start complimenting me on things. I would start to be honest about all of these stories. I would actually start to have real things happening in my life that were so cool that I had a legitimate story to tell other human beings. And that legitimate story that I could tell those people was genuine, and they thought it was funny and they thought it was cool. So I got everything I was looking for. I just had to let go of the desire to get everything I was looking for.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's a catch-22. It's okay to have that desire in the first place, to want to do those things, as long as you let go of it. If you get that feeling, let go of it. Realize it's okay to want those things, but it's not okay to attach yourself with the desire, because attaching yourself to it is the very thing that will hold you back from manifesting it in your life. Whether it's getting a girlfriend, whether it's getting money in your bank account, whether it's becoming a famous YouTuber, whether it's becoming whatever you want to do in your life, your desire, you think that desire is what's good. And at the start, it's okay, because it's better than being depressed and shameful or having no purpose. It's better, wanting change within yourself is better than just giving up. So it's okay at the start, but to really take the next step, to really make the next jump in your life, to really make that acceleration process happen faster than you ever could imagine, let go of it.
Yep. I can give you guys an exact example of what it means to let go, and how, by letting go, you're opening up a portal or a doorway in your life for what it is you seek and what it is you desire to flow through you. Whether it's money, whether it's women, whether it's experiences with cool people, whatever it might be. I'll give you guys an example. So, back in my hometown, this wasn't very long ago, probably a month or two, I was talking to a girl, and she was a really hot French teacher. And, coming from a town of 10,000 people, when a foreign woman starts talking to you, you get excited, you really want to go hang out with her. And so, I made this whole plan. I was going to fly out to Canada, I was going to hang out with her, and it was going to be fun. Hopefully she's not watching.
She probably is, right? Shout out, by the way, for being a hot French teacher in Canada.
Yeah, so anyways, back onto the story. So, I would talk to her, and what kept happening was I just kept seeing a lot of emotional traumas that would resurface in her, and she would, get mad at me, and she'd be insecure about something and get mad at me for doing something that I wasn't even doing, and just creating these issues. And so I really, really, really wanted to go fly out and see her. She was beautiful, do not get me wrong. But I knew that she just wasn't the right vibrational match, and I knew that it was going to create problems by me doing that. And so what I had to do was I had to let go of her in order for new things, new experiences with people to flood in. And literally what happened was I was driving down the road, and she texts me, and she says something, and so I'm sitting there reading it, and I just got this overwhelming feeling that came from myself, and it was kind of like a thought that popped into my head, and it was just, you deserve better than this. This is not your type of person. You have to let go. And so what I did was I immediately took the number and blocked it. I didn't say anything to her. I didn't do anything. I just blocked the number. Literally, the second I blocked the number, I get a text from a girl that is really, really attractive in my hometown that just randomly hits me up because she saw me that day. She's like, "Hey Donovan, it was really good talking to you. We should hang out sometime." And so that was just a perfect example of instant manifestation. And it works with money, it works with women, it works with anything. The second that you are willing to let go of the thing that you think that you need, that you think that you desire so much, the second that you are willing to let go of that is the second that you tell God, you tell the universe, I'm willing to let go of anything because I trust. And then that's when you get it. And so it's this weird thing where you have to do the opposite of what you feel.
Counterintuitive.
Exactly. But when you do it, it might in that exact situation, obviously that was instantly. And that doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. I've had that happen a number of different times. Not just with women, but, a lot of things. Money is a prime example. By moving out here in California, it's like, just by making the step to move somewhere different, I didn't change anything in my business, but I made more money because of that. And so it's kind of this thing where, oh no, I'm scared to move to a new place. It's way more expensive. I wasn't paying anything where I was from, and now, I'm paying way more money in rent. The food's more expensive, gas is more expensive, everything's more expensive, and I just went with it. And so if I would have kept with those small-minded fear belief systems, I never would have came out to this beautiful place. I wouldn't have made the connections that I would have made. I would have never attracted the things that I have now, that aside from money, I've met amazing people that are going to immediately be able to connect me with other successful people to where I'm going to be able to grow as a person. And in turn, I'm going to learn more things to make me more money, to make me, more happy and do the things that I want. And that's what's important is, letting go seems like the scariest thing in the world. To let go of something that you love, to let go of something that you desire. It's scary, but the second that you do it, you're opening a portal for the thing that you want, and an overabundance of the thing that you want, most importantly.
And the beautiful thing about it too is like sometimes the thinking mind, if you're a good person, if you have a heart, one of the reasons it's hard to let go is because of the fact that you genuinely care about other people. Like your French girl, or I can think of my ex-girlfriend. And the fact that I genuinely cared for her as a person. But if it's not working, it doesn't even necessarily mean that you're better and she's worse or anything like that. That's not the case. What it really is that it's not a match. Mm-hmm. It's not a match. That person has a match. So by letting go, you're actually doing not only you a favor, but them too. Mm-hmm. Because it only hurts them more if it's not a match. They're going to continue to it's going to hurt them more and more and more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And so when I let go of my ex-girlfriend and decided to break up with her, it was really hard for me to do that. And, afterwards, I cried when I was getting her stuff and shipping it back to her. And I was just I was really sad that it was hard for me to do. But at the same time, it was the most empowering thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I know for myself, it was the best thing that I could have done for myself, for her, for my business, my future family, my friends, everybody. It was the best thing. And it was the best thing it was a win-win for everybody to do that. And so you're actually doing that person and yourself a favor. And so that's one thing to really keep in mind when you're thinking about this type of stuff is, it might feel counterintuitive, but go with it because of the fact that if it's a win for you, if it's a win for Divine, and if it's a win for the other person, long term, not talking short term, because short term you might cry when you're shipping her stuff back, and she might cry too. It's better for everybody to let go of the situation. Mm-hmm. And I've had a flowering in my life since then. I'm a new person. I'm reborn. I'm more powerful. I'm just a stronger person because of it. And I'm so thankful for that experience, for that learning experience to let go. And I genuinely appreciate her. I genuinely appreciate that experience. I genuinely appreciate everything about it. I hold no resentment because I know that it was best for everybody. Mm-hmm. And that's such a powerful thing.
It really is. And it actually brings me to Tony Robbins. If you guys don't know him, make sure to check him out because he's amazing. If you need any type of motivation or self-help type stuff, understanding your own self more or less, he's a really good person that I sought after for inspiration in my dark times. But one thing that really resonated with me was I just watched I don't know what it was, just him explaining his story more or less. And there was a point in time, I believe he was in California, it was either that or New York, some big city, where he was at this little restaurant cafe.
It was California.
Where, he was overlooking and there was yachts and sailboats and all these nice things that he really wanted. And he didn't have any money. He had $17 or something, practically no money. And I don't remember if he was trying to... He was just broke, basically, trying to figure out how to survive. Stressed about a million different things. And he actually had a friend that owed him maybe $1,000, a couple $1,000. And he was really stressed out about how he was going to get this money because he had bills coming up. He didn't know how he was going to pay it. And so he was just so worried about everything. And so he was here at this cafe that he used to go to. He used to sit out and, read or whatever, work on his stuff. And I think the biggest reason he was there was so he could just mainly look at the boats and just visualize and, think about the things that he wanted. And so as he was sitting here one day, he noticed this little boy and his mother, and this little boy was taking his mom on a date, and he was being a gentleman. He was paying for everything. He was, taking the chair and holding it out for her so that she could sit down, and then helping her push it back in. He was just being all of these amazing things like a gentleman should do. And Tony Robbins was sitting here watching this, and as he was watching it, he just felt gratitude, and he felt love and just inspiration from watching this little kid. And so I don't remember exactly what happened, whether he paid for the meal or whether he just gave the kid the money, but he gave the kid all of the money that he had in his wallet. And
even though he couldn't pay his rent.
Yeah,
right?
That was all of his money, literally everything he had. And he gave it to the kid because he just felt like the kid deserved it. And he left. And as he was walking back, almost instantaneously, the friend that owed him the couple $1,000s called him and said that he had his money ready for him. And so this is why I genuinely believe that no matter your situation now, no matter what you've been through, no matter anything, when you choose to let go of these things, when you know it's no longer serving you, or when you know that you want more, you have to be willing to let go. Whether it's a job that you don't want to work at, the only way that you're ever going to find a better place is to let go of that, no matter how scary that is. Because I know what it's like. I know exactly what all that's like. To not know how you're going to pay your bills, to not know, how you're going to feed yourself. That's a scary feeling to have. And in those times when you're willing to even let go of what little you have, it's amazing what doorways open up for you to, manifesting the things that you want. And I've seen it. All you have to do is literally just look up law of attraction stories on YouTube.
Oh, they're crazy.
Any famous person. Will Smith is a prime example. Jim Carrey is a prime example. Look up their manifestation stories and try and tell me that this stuff isn't true. A lot of people will just write it off and chalk it off as just a bunch of,
hokey pokey.
Exactly. In actuality, it really sounds like it is until you experience it firsthand, and you're like, oh my God, is this real right now? Is this real? Like,
it makes you believe in a higher power.
For sure.
It's like, wow, there's got to be something. It really makes you believe in something bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
However you want to define it. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of Elon Musk, because Elon Musk in 2008, he basically had, I don't know how much money it was left. He had like a small amount of money left, small as millions and millions for him. But he basically had to decide, okay, well, do I put all of my money into Tesla or SpaceX? Which one do I do, And so the way he explained it is, when you build a business, it's like your child, and I can experience this for myself. You genuinely care about it so much, So he's like, well, I don't want to just cut off money for one of them and let the other one starve to death. Like that doesn't make any sense. So he just took his money and split it evenly between the two. And now look at Tesla. Mm-hmm. Now look at SpaceX. Now look at Elon Musk. It flowered into something beautiful, but first he had to let go of the money. He had to let go of the idea of only feeding one versus feeding the other, and just trust that everything would work out and invest his capital into it. And just moving out here is also, we let go of our previous situation, mm-hmm. of living in Utah, of what we were comfortable in. We let go of that thing, and by letting go of it, we've had such a beautiful flowering of different things. And you guys, I'm so excited. We got the studio foam coming. So, if you guys have heard a few cars drive by when the studio foam gets
here.
Or
if you've heard my crappy echo in every one of my videos that people complain about.
Yeah, we're fixing the echo. We got desks, chairs, everything coming here. And we've met so many cool people. It's been such a flowering, beautiful experience. Yes, the drive over here was a little gnarly. Yes, there was a couple days where we didn't sleep.
Yes, Dallin's butt hurt.
And my butt hurt from the 12-hour drive in my car because I'm really, really tall. And so, it's one of those experiences where, yes, there's a little bit of stress in the change. There was a little bit of days where I didn't sleep quite as good as I was, but now I feel like it's turning into something beautiful, and I can feel my vibration rising. I can feel everything falling into place perfectly for a really beautiful thing. So with that being said, you guys, I really appreciate you guys. Let go. Trust that things will work out. Trust that that God or a higher power, whatever you want to say, whatever word you want to use, whatever. Just have faith, even if you just say life. Have faith in life. Have faith that something bigger and better can come for you. And when you do that, it will, and you will be rewarded. It will feel like a magic trick. It'll be a greater faith, a deeper faith in that power, and it will result in beautiful things. So, you guys, that's kind of the message this week, is just have faith, let go, and focus on the beautiful things. And, it's okay if there's some days where it's a little stressful. It's okay if the change causes some stress and the reality of the situation. It is real that you're going to feel some of those things. But what comes after it, the order that comes from the chaos, is worth every second of it.
100%. So just focus on what you love. Focus on letting go, most importantly. That's my biggest thing. Because once you let go, it's amazing.
You get cute girls texting you.
Oh man, there's an overabundance of those. I can walk outside and see an overabundance of beautiful women on the road, and then I can get an overabundance of messages on my phone, and then it's just overabundance everywhere. Beautiful things.
Yeah, and this is a spot for abundance too. Let me tell you, there is so many cute girls out here, so many beautiful things to see, and I'm super thankful for it. So we love and appreciate you guys. We're really excited about the new setup, and although the last two podcasts have been audio only, bear with us, you guys. We're setting up something very beautiful. The end result will be well worth it. Very excited about things. The ebook is basically done. We literally just have just two things to touch up on it, and we're going to set up our site so that we have a better way to distribute it. But you guys, we haven't forgotten about that either. It's been on my mind. Been working on it. It's basically done. We just want to have a good website to distribute it through our email lists and stuff first. So get ready for the email list, the ebooks, the new studio, the podcast. Everything's coming together beautifully, and we wouldn't be here without you guys, and we wouldn't be here without that higher power that we were talking about. I'm so thankful for that in our life. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure that you are a subscriber to my channel, subscriber to Donovan's channel. Check out our VIPs, links in the description. Share this video with your friends so they can get the value from it as well. Focus on the beautiful things, you guys. There's a lot of beautiful things in the world. There's a silver lining to all the chaos, and order is the end result of it. So get ready for a flowering of a new beautiful world. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week in the Moon Boy podcast. As always, stay profitable out there.